Deathworld, more like Deathfood, written by SynthoStellar. Dr. Seeladal was relaxing on his couch, ears fluttering some, as he was reading the latest issue of the medical journal Galactic Health. One section caught his eye. Medical trials and experiments have proven the incredible physiology of the latest species, humans. While they have only just appeared on the galactic stage, they've already demanding attention from the other races just by how they are built alone. The first images that came out, and ones that made Seeladal's jaw drop, were the images on how flexible human bodies were. The ones he's seeing are those provided by a human exercise regimen called yoga. He's actually starting to wonder if he'll ever find a human crawling around in his vents. He was startled out of his reading by the harsh buzzing of his signaller. Fishing it out of his coat pocket, he saw the message that was flashed in the air through holographic projection. Code dealer. Immediate treatment required. He hasn't seen that alert in ages. Code dealer refers to someone ingesting poisonous materials. Wasting no time, he immediately threw his coat on, ordered his room AI to close up once he left, and hopped into his car. With the gentle whine of the engine, he began to make his way over to the medical centre as fast as he could. Reaching to a halt at his designated parking spot, he relied on the car's automated security to lock it up for him as he jogged over to the emergency entrance, bright blue fur whistling from the wind. "I'm here. Where's the code dealer?" Seeladal announced calmly once he passed through the doors. "Emergency ICU, second floor, HELAC," the assistant replied quickly, handing him a holocard that contained whatever information they compiled. "We have a human medical expert, Dr. Samdi, providing assistance." "How bad is it?" Seeladal questioned, bringing up the records. "Profuse bleeding from the mouth," the assistant explained as they were walking towards the ICU. "Field scans also show extreme inflammation along the digestive tract. We are worried they are already causing cellular breakdown." "What happened? What did the HELAC eat?" Seeladal continued, growing more and more disturbed as he listened and read. "Packaged human food," the assistant answered. "We haven't identified the brand or the specifics. All we know is that it's what humans called soup." "Get ya!" Seeladal cursed, teeth bared. "And this Dr. Samdi, is the translator updated for the human language yet?" "We are having issues with that, sir," the assistant sighed worriedly. "They have too many languages to decipher. We've only gotten 1 out of 100 translated. Samdi seems to be using what was translated though, so we're okay there." "What? 100? Seriously?" Seeladal exclaimed in disbelief. Never mind. Come on, let's go." Thanks to the emergency designation of their route, they didn't need to weave their way through obstacles or civilians. It was a very quick jog over to the ICU, and as they approached, they could hear the frenzied conversation of the medical workers as well as the unknown voice with them, most likely Samdi. Once they busted through the door, Seeladal already started feeling sick. The HELAC, huge and bursting with muscle, had blood all over its mouth, throat and a good portion of its upper chest. And as Seeladal and the assistant made their way over, the HELAC leaned over the bed to retch out a thick stream of blood onto a repurposed wastepan. Standing separate from the crowd was a dark-skinned human with almost night-black tuft of fur on its head. That must be Dr. Samdi. Practically slapping the translator in his ear, Sealadel immediately approached the human. "You Dr. Sandy?" The human nodded after gently tapping his own translator. "Yes, I am. Dr. Sealadel, I presume." "I am," he nodded back, then looking back to the sickening sight of the galactic brute having lost its mind in sheer terror, then back to the human. "Please tell me you have something. What happened?" "You need a stomach pump right now," Sandy said firmly. "Nida consumed a small bowl of ramen that had intense concentration of capsaicins in it. Once his stomach had been cleared, you need a solution containing high concentration of casein to neutralize the irritant." "Wait, milk?" Sealadel asked incredulously, after some confusion over whether the translation is correct. "You're telling us to give him milk? You sure?" "I can direct you to numerous scientific studies regarding the biochemistry between the two," Sandy replied with a serious expression. "But yes, if you don't get the capsaicins out of his system, his body will continue attacking the affected areas with the intensity you're seeing, leading to catastrophic internal damage and even total system shutdown." Sealadel was momentarily distracted by another retching fit from the Hilak, who let out another outpouring of blood onto the pan, nearly filling it, before returning back to hyperventilating despite all the neurodepressants administered to him. "Do you happen to have any of that?" Sealadel asked, his expression dark and disturbed. "I do, but your team won't allow me, despite my certification from the Galactic Medical Board." Sandy nodded, casting a glare at the workers trying to help the Hilak. Sealadel can see why. The Hilak is too old, medically, to be ingesting milk. At this point, all it would do is make his situation worse by making him squirt liquid out of the other end. But if it doesn't need to be digested, just come into contact with whatever poison he ingested. "Everyone, allow Sandy to administer aid to the Hilak. Now!" Sealadel barked out immediately. "Sandy, get whatever you need ready. Everyone else, get the pump ready. I want his stomach completely empty by the time Sandy is prepared. Let's go." The ordeal passed by in a blur, as all operations, big and small, happen. All Sealadel remembers was cold, disturbed anxiety. He'd never encountered the infamously powerful Hilak, rendered to being a scared child just by eating something. He remembered seeing one eat a thick length of steel just to prove a point, and smile of shattered, broken teeth. Now though, the patient is finally calm, or rather, as calm as one can be. The neurodepressants finally took effect. The Hilak will remain in intensive care for some time, mostly for the rather terrifying sight of vomiting blood. However, Sandy ended up being correct. As soon as the milk was administered and promptly pumped out, the Hilak's condition began to improve. And now Sealadel was trying to decompress and work his way out of his focus by relaxing in the medical centre's eatery, having himself a simple plate of organised fruits and vegetables. Opposite him was the human doctor, Sandy, who let out a deep huff after settling his bowl of soup down. Sealadel noticed his eyes and nose were running. He was breathing rather heavily and sniffing often, and then his heart sank. "Sandy, please tell me that's not what the Hilak ate." Sandy let out a wheezing laugh. "Don't worry about me. I grew up eating food like this. Though I'll admit, those Koreans sure know how to give you a good kick in the teeth." Sealadel stared at him. "What do you mean, grew up eating that?" Isn't that the same kind of poisonous substance that broke that Hilak patient? It's not poisonous, at least for us. Samdi laughed again, blowing his nose into his fifth piece of tissue. Well, depending on your neck of the woods, it's either pure hellfire or just a slight tickle at the tongue. But no, trust me, there are plants that are far worse than what's in here. Sealadel could only stare in horrified shock for several moments, staring at the empty bowl splattered with the dots of the bright orange soup. What exactly are you eating, Doctor? Ramen, Samdi chuckled with a grin. To be more specific, Nongxing Shin Ramen. He then continued with an ambiguous, sarcastic, mocking voice. Gourmet spicy. Samdi then returned to a normal tone. A friend of mine from America brought these online on an impulse and is now practically eating them lunch and dinner. I sure hope he's drinking his milk or building his tolerance fast. This is my second bowl and it's, to be frank, already kind of kicking my ass. You humans can eat that, Sealadal exclaimed, practically losing his mind on the absurdity of what he's hearing. Not all of us, Samdi laughed again, taking a few large gulps of his milk. I for one won't be making a meal out of this. Probably an occasional thing. But if you're thinking about the Hilak, no, it's not dangerous for us. At least so long as we don't consume hundreds of bowls of this ramen in one sitting. And as Samdi fished out the last of his meal, something that definitely screamed sweet, Sealadal could only continue his stare, deciding that he'll need to read up as much as he could on human physiology as well as cuisine. Sealadal dropped his report when he spotted a pair walking through the civilian entrance. A human, as well as a Yurthu, the six-eyed creature rapidly glancing around. Sealadal noticed that his arms were shaking rapidly. So, I don't think he's okay, the light-skinned, yellow-haired human began as he pointed with his thumb towards the Yurthu. He was pretty quiet and calm, but now he's just weird. Hey, you got a bug on you, the Yurthu stated rapidly, then instantly followed up with a smack on the human cheek. Oh, fuck, the human cursed, clutching his cheek. The counter's dirty, you know, the Yurthu said, pointing at a random spot on the counter. Without even waiting for a response, he looked away towards the wall. Why is it so white in here? Are we in a spaceship or what? And what's with all the people over there? Is there a pandemic? Hey, do you have any good food? I'm hungry. Sealadal and the assistant looked at each other for a moment before silently agreeing. Sir, can you come with us, please? What? Why? The Yurthu exclaimed, taking up an exaggerated pose with a point. You with the man? Taking me away because I know things? You'll never catch me. The Yurthu only made it a few steps before he collapsed like a puppet whose strings were cut. By the time Sealadal and the assistant rushed over, the Yurthu was already having seizures. Sealadal and the assistant immediately held him down, the doctor already on his communicator to declare a code dealer. You! Answer me! Sealadal pointed at the slack-jawed human. What did he have? Drinks? Food? Anything? The human stammered for some time. He had his usual, and he wanted to try out some stuff. What stuff? Sealadal raised his voice. Coffee and chocolate. Just a little though, the human answered. Sealadal let out a silent curse, just like a few weeks ago with the Hilak. Different food this time, however, He's not sure if this is better or worse compared to that ramen Sandy was eating. The other medical workers finally arrived and helped transport the Yurthu onto a maglev carrier, securing him to keep his seizures under control. Siladal allowed himself to relax for a moment once they began transporting the Yurthu to intensive care, at least for the time being until his situation improves. Hearing some snapping sounds, Siladal found the same human eating some brown rectangle in his hand. Although the wrapper was torn during opening, he didn't need to read it to know what he was looking at. A bar of chocolate. A sweet sauce or solid that humans obsess over and even believe it puts them in the mood. Siladal immediately marched over and swiped the bar of death from the humans. Hey, what the fuck, man? The human exclaimed. Is this what you gave him? He demanded, holding up the bar. Yeah, but just a little bit, the human replied, then pointing at the bar. See those cuts and such? I gave him, just a quarter of that. Siladal saw what he meant. On one side, the chocolate was shaped into their own mini bars, with the company logo, no doubt. After some quick head math, he figured he had the best shot here. He already began marching his way to the toxin lab. Although he's not sure if it was a one-to-one scenario, it's all he's got. As soon as he had the weight of the Yurthu, he just needs to determine just how much of the poisonous toxins that was inside this piece of chocolate to get an idea on how to treat the Yurthu. PSA: if you're going to give human food to your pets, please make sure they can handle them. We all know the infamous dogs can't eat chocolate part, but never assume. Spending 10 minutes of Googling is far more preferable than a day of scares and possible vet bills to pay.